welcome. Hit the like button, hit subscribe, hit the bell. Thank you for listening. This is Joey. Let's get started. Got a little administrative or channel news to give you guys, then we'll get cracking. Apparently, I've reached enough followers or enough whatever on the algorithms to where they've opened up the community tab. And that's what I've always coveted more than any kind of, super chats or any of that bullshit. I've been looking forward to getting in the communities tab. I can definitely converse with you guys a lot more frequently in that communities tab, and interesting things that are relevant to what we talk about here pop up all the time. But oftentimes it's not enough to make a whole a whole episode out of, So look for me on that communities tab to be talking a little shit and giving you guys more relevant information. And I really look forward to that. But let's go ahead and get into this real quick. Got a couple things to talk about. But the first thing we want to get into, which could end up being the main course here, I might split this up, I don't know. But I want to point out something very weird. If you're paying attention to Democratic-leaning media channels, you'll notice something pretty consistent about how they cover Kamala Harris. And this puts us as black people in a really weird political spot, right? Because we don't like Kamala Harris. We've never been a fan of Kamala Harris. We fought vehemently. Black people are the reason Kamala Harris is only the vice president and not the president. Because at the time, the powers that be wanted Kamala Harris to be the president. They were trying to do Obama 2.0, but black people, we didn't fall for that, right? So now we're in a position to where the very people that put Kamala Harris in line, white society, the Democratic National Party, has now soured on her. But they're in a very weird position. So now you see a lot of the coverage on Kamala Harris, who has been consistent this entire time as a bad candidate and pretty much a bad person, right? Now that they've soured on her, all of these flaws are getting exposed, and you start to hear people on the left openly bemoan having Kamala Harris on the ticket, right? And I want you to watch the weird, unhypocritical, unironic position that these media talking heads take. The big dig on Kamala Harris is that she's unprofessional, uninspiring, uncoordinated, a blathering idiot, basically. Whenever you see a headline about Kamala, look at the picture I got right here. Whenever you see a headline about Kamala, it always talks about her making word salads and no one knowing what she's talking about, and her just kind of mumbling and bumbling and stumbling through whatever event, right? And we're told that this is proof that she's unfit to be a leader and unfit to be a president, which we already knew. But it's kind of hard to make that argument while she's the vice president to a literal bumbling, stumbling, mumbling fool human vegetable like Joe Biden. Right? It's not like she's backing up John F. Kennedy and we're like, oh boy, we hate to lose JFK because look what the bullshit we got behind him is. Right? No, the person that you got in charge right now barely has operable brain cells. Literally gets up and walks off and talks to ghosts. Literally wanders off in the hallways of the damn United Kingdom's castles and shit, just completely lost. Has peed on himself, I think twice on live air now, right? This person is the person that you have as president right now, operating active wars in Europe, right? Doing trade negotiations, right? Dealing with unions. So it's kind of hard to act so offended and so disappointed and so concerned about the very serious role of the office of presidency when in the office right now, you literally have a faint heartbeat away from Weekend at Bernie's. Now, mind you, Kamala Harris is a horrible candidate. She's been a horrible vice president, right? We're not defending any kind of merit or any kind of ability or aptitude she may or may not. We know she has none. Nor does Joe Biden. Right. So you can't act like there's going to be some kind of considerable trade-off. One thing Kamala Harris will do is what she's told. Whether or not she can sell it or not remains to be seen, and it's probably doubtful, right? Highly doubtful. Same can be said for Joe Biden, right? Joe Biden's out here mispronouncing, and no, not mispronouncing, completely getting the countries we're at war with wrong, right? Calling people by the wrong names and shit, and just completely off kilter. It's like watching The Naked Gun. And everybody's fine with it. When these things happen, he's falling off of bikes and falling off of stages and shit. When these things happen, son getting caught with crack in the White House, right? Lying and falsifying gun records, messing up left and right. The whole Biden family is chump. But you notice that the media and the powers that be and the talking heads for the powers that be go into defense protocol whenever any kind of an issue comes up with Biden, but they're jumping on Kamala's back. And that has to make you wonder, how did Kamala, if black people weren't impressed by Kamala, and white people are now having buyer's remorse for Kamala, how did Kamala rise to the rank of vice presidency? And you're hearing them say comments like, well, she's not a good vice president, which is misleading, because name the best vice president in American history and what he did. How do you be a good vice president? 90% of being vice president, 99% of being vice president is literally just waiting. The only real assignment you have as vice president is you may be called upon to be the tiebreaker in a congressional vote. That's it. There's never any matter of war. Madam President, you're needed in France. We have to go fight back the Taliban. Like that's the president's job. Secondly, vice presidents are not only not known for doing anything important, they're often known for messing up. Dan Quayle used to be the president. Nigga couldn't spell potato. Hell, Joe Biden used to be the vice president. He was the king of messing up. Remember when they passed the little bullshit healthcare bill and Joe Biden got caught on a hot mic telling Barack Obama, this is a big effing deal. They're like, shut up, Joe. Shut the hell up, nigga. Damn. Vice presidents aren't known for being efficient and buttoned down. There's always only a couple of vice presidents that was known for playing their role real smooth like, and those niggas were CIA agents. You know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't regular politicians. Kamala Harris did her job. See, the real issue that white folks aren't saying out loud for why they've soured on Kamala Harris. This is not a Kamala Harris defense episode. Trust me. Because we were the main ones on her head. Tariq Nasheed was on her head. Phil Scott on her head. Yvette Carnell on her head. Antonio Moore on her head. Irami Osim Frimpong on her head. Nobody in the black community, other than the black celebrities and black activists, the real black community, was not impressed with Kamala Harris. We knew the tail of the tape. We know a do-girl when we see one. But she got selected for us. And the reason why Kamala Harris was selected for us, and the thing that she was supposed to bring to the table, which is the reason why they've soured on her now, is Kamala Harris was supposed to be a black token symbol to get black people to vote for the Democratic Party. And she was just black enough to get just enough black votes. That's it. That was her only job. And they know she can't do it this time. And not only do they know she can't do it this time, See, I've said before, and I'll say again, black politics is almost wholly symbolic. There's no tangibles we fight for as a people. There's nothing we vote for as a people other than we got to do it because our ancestors didn't get to do it. We don't even vote for anything. We openly talk about voting on behalf of the benefits of other people. That's how far our politics have fallen. And we were told, we'll throw you a symbolic bone. We'll give you Kamala Harris. That's as good as you get, Negroes. And Negroes, we all fell for it, and we voted for her begrudgingly. But see, what white society didn't count on was just how weather-beaten Joe Biden was. And the last thing that they want, especially white women, is for Kamala Harris to accidentally moonwalk her way into the presidency. So you hear a lot of talk right now about moving Kamala Harris off the ticket. No major scandal. She hasn't performed well, but she hasn't had a major scandal. And there's nothing you can say about Kamala Harris that you can't say about Joe Biden right now. Well, Kamala Harris has been in hiding. We haven't even seen her come out and do an appearance. You don't see Joe Biden that often. That nigga's in a bunker all the time. And we all know why. Well, Kamala Harris is inartful, so is Joe Biden. Well, Kamala Harris doesn't display any leadership, so is Joe Biden. America would feel uneasy with a President Kamala Harris, but you put her in there as a symbol. Kamala Harris is a perfect symbol for how black politics is wholly symbolic. Because they had no problem forcing her down your throats to represent you, even though you said she don't represent us and she don't represent our politics. They had no problem slapping her up there to represent you, slapping her up there to represent us. But when the actual possibility of her actually getting that office position comes up, they stop the film production, let you see the fourth wall, and go, let's get her out of there. Black politics is wholly symbolic. We'll write up a George Floyd bill and stand out here in the House of Congress with kente cloth and kneel and do all that stuff. We're not going to pass it, though. Hear ye, the order of Stop Asian Hate has now been passed officially. Took 3 months. Hey, we can't pass that George Floyd bill with the Democratic House, Democratic Senate, and a Democratic president. We can't. Sorry. Better luck next time. Call us the next time one of your guys gets killed. We'll try harder. We promise. That's letting you know. It's symbolic. And black folks, by and large, are happy with the symbolism. We like Ketanji Brown Jackson getting in the Supreme Court. That doesn't even affect black people. They ain't got nothing to do with black people. She's just a symbol. See, one of my tactics when I'm dealing with somebody who's not being forthcoming with me, who's trying to play coy, you know, it's a big tactic in politics to say things without saying things, to split your words, to split your meaning, to split hairs. You know what I'm saying? To be vague, to be coy. And the best way to combat that, I've come to find out, is to ask very basic questions that don't give the person you're asking them to any room to make shit up or lie. Just straight up. And how you could tell that black politics is largely symbolic, simply ask the question, what do black folks want? That's it. What do black folks want in politics? Don't ask, what are we voting for? Because then you'll get a big fluff piece of, we're voting for freedom. You say, what policies do black people want to see enacted that'll benefit us? Black people, not people of color, not minorities, not disadvantaged, I don't want to hear shit about things being disproportionately. Not to hell with all that. What policies, what platforms are black people voting on that benefit black people? And when you ask that question to anybody, to black people, to politicians, to talking heads, what you're going to get is gobbledygook. And if you really want to spice it up, precede it with the questions: what are Hispanics voting for? What platforms, what policies are Hispanics voting for? What policies and platforms are gays voting for? What policies and platforms are women voting for? And you'll get straight up, concrete, verifiable answers. Oh, it's this proposition. It's this policy. But when it comes to black people, you start to get these vague, all-encompassing, black people are voting for equality. Black people are voting for niceness, right? And you're like, that's when you realize our politics have been taken from us. Even the symbolism is fading now. They're not even being coy about it. Once it's clear that this symbolic gesture of making her the vice president might go sour and she might accidentally become the president, Joe Biden's liable to walk off a stage and fall 25 feet to his death. We can't seriously have her actually be president now, can we? This is a serious position. Except for one point. No, it's not. You've had 3 presidents in the last 4 terms that you could probably make the argument were mentally incapacitated at the time when they were president. George W. Bush, Joe Biden right now, and Donald Trump. I'm not talking about whether or not you agree with their policies. I'm talking about if you're like, is this nigga crazy? Y'all remember when the riots were going on and Donald Trump went outside and took a picture with a Bible in his hand? We're like, what the hell is he doing? Joe Biden will walk off stage and walk in the back and start talking to ghosts. Literally, I'm not making actually talking to ghosts. Hey, who are you talking to? Oh, Abraham Lincoln. Crazy as hell. But now when you just got a regular incompetent person, somebody who, if she became the president, she would be a happy stooge and do whatever them people in the deep state would tell her to do. She's 10 toes down. She's just inartful in how she does it, right? She's not good at thinking on the fly. She's not a real personable human being. She's not really relatable. She's very cold. Okay. Being the president of the United States is the easiest thing in the world. All you gotta do is just tell people what they have to do. It's been open empire for the last couple of terms. It's not even been good bullshit anymore. They don't even really fake it. You have the entire media covering for you. You want to know how easy it is to be president? Watch this. The current president had a damn train derail, I believe, in Ohio. Umbrella corporation level chemicals spilled out, infecting the population, killing animals everywhere. The media just said, we're not going to talk about it. We don't want to ruin the president's chances on anything. Democracy's on the line. You have 0.000% chance of anything going wrong with Kamala Harris being the president, even if she is the president and something goes wrong. Nothing will go. Who gives a shit? There's no way to fail, even if you fail. But the symbolics, the symbolism don't look right. Now you're taking it seriously. But see, black folks, that goes over our head. We're not very politically mature. We're not politically smart. We're very politically dumb people. And that's not saying it's because of our culture. All of our genuinely serious and astute political leaders were killed. They've all been systematically killed by the state. So, of course, you're going to be politically retarded. Your growth's been stunted. People like MLK were able to take a bunch of sharecroppers and vagabonds. I'm talking about by white people's take. A bunch of lower class and middle class people in the Black American community and be real effective in politics. So you take somebody like him out. You take somebody like a Medgar Evers out. You take somebody like a Malcolm X out. You take somebody like the chairman out, and you replace these type of people with people like Al Sharpton. Of course you're going to be misled. You can tell black politics isn't really respected by the way they come at you. If they're coming at you with no voting, no vucking, and you're literally their base, that's telling you something's off. Now, I want to segue from Kamala Harris. But before I do, I want to also point out the very apparent hint of jealousy coming from the white women brigade within the Democratic Party. See, I told you before about woke fatigue, about how we let the Democratic Party and white folks in general on the left hijack that word. The same way they hijacked Colin Kaepernick's kneeling and turned it from kneeling against police brutality, but white folks turned it into kneeling for saving the whales and kneeling for recycling and kneeling for the sake of kneeling and kneeling for better knees. They were able to capture the symbolism of the kneeling to make it look like they were showing solidarity, while at the same time diverting to whole different meanings and taking the meaning away from the gesture. And now you have this human symbol in Kamala Harris, somebody who doesn't really represent all the things that she's supposed to represent just by the nature of her demographic, right? The Democratic Party put her up to say, she's a black woman. And the black community was like, this broad be throwing black people in jail left and right for bullshit charges. She's a black woman. This woman said her stance on this and that policy is totally against black folks. But she's a black woman. And now when that shit's not working, when that hasn't gotten any ROI, it hasn't got any return on investment, and worse yet, it's looking like you're going to actually have to put her in office to do something, that she's a black woman shit ain't flying at all. And you can tell Kamala Harris is politically inartful and out of her league because she hasn't even learned that she's supposed to use her black vote leverage. You put anybody else in that position that even halfway knows how to politic and is a black woman that's looking like they're about to get pushed out by white society, they would go right down to Al Sharpton, to Roland Martin and all them other coons and start raising hell and going, black people, if they kick me out, you better not vote for these people. And the Democratic Party will be terrified. The Democratic Party is terrified of the black vote. It don't take much for them to realize they got to get in line and get right when it comes to the black vote. Case in point, look at Cornel West. Cornel West, there's a whole lot of strong candidates running for office against Joe Biden that they're trying to make sure. There's so many running against Joe Biden, they don't even want to have a primary this year. There's going to be no debates, and there's barely going to be a primary. And I'm going to tell you how dirty them primaries are in just a second. Them primaries, a lot of y'all don't know about that. Look at this. This is a court ruling from a few years ago where they all but admitted, yeah, we cheated Bernie Sanders out of the primary and forced it to be Hillary Clinton, but we're legally not obligated to be fair in the primaries. And yeah, it's all a show. Because the Democratic Party, like the Republican Party, are private corporations. And this whole primary process is just bread and circuses to let y'all feel like you're part of a democratic process, when in reality, we go in the back room and smoke cigars and pick that person like we've always done. That's how you got Hillary Clinton as the nominee. This is why you have a voting process the way you do. Because if they just came out every year and said, hey, we're dictators and this is going to be your new leader, people wouldn't accept that willingly. But if we let you think that there's a whole voting process and yeah, you get to pick the new M&M color. Like, you don't really think you're picking the M&M color whenever they do that shit, right? You know, the corporate office and already picked the color. They just make you feel like you're a part of the process. It makes you buy in more. Whenever you vote, whenever you are in the process whenever you're in the practice of voting in any country, no matter who you vote for, that's an endorsement for the process. That's you saying, we chose this. So you got Cornel West, after what he found out about the Democratic Party just being a corporation, and even if he got every single vote and super duper delegate and all that kind of shit, they would still just elect whoever they want to be the guy. He said, I'm running as a Green Party candidate. Green Party candidate has more poll presence state to state than his original party, which is going to be the People's Party. He would have been kind of a glorified write-in under the People's Party. But they're terrified of Cornel West running as a Green Party candidate. Now, mind you, they got RFK on their ass. On their ass. And who knows who else is going to jump in. But the one guy they're fearful of right now is Cornel West. And why are they fearful of Cornel West? One reason and one reason only. Cornel West is black. And they're fearful. Remember, they think we're dumb. They're fearful that black people seeing a familiar black face running for office may just vote for him because he's black. And like I told you before, whenever I hear people talking about, we can't get black folks to stop voting Democrat, I roll my eyes, because you do not need, quote unquote, black folks to stop voting Democrat. You need a portion of black people, a small portion of the black vote, to stop voting Democrat. The difference in the black vote helping Obama win in 2012 and the black vote allowing Hillary Clinton to lose in 2016 was a difference of just 6% of the black vote. 6% more black people vote in the 2016 election. Hillary Clinton is your president. So if you could just stave off 6% of the black vote in 2024, bye-bye Biden. And worse still, they know they don't have any carrots to dangle in front of black folks to get black folks to come in and vote. Even the fear of a Donald Trump presidency in 2024 means nothing to black people. Donald Trump never really dropped any specified draconian shit on the black community. And you can't hit us with he's racist. All y'all racist, right? So this coming election, black folks are going to have the option to vote. How would you like to be ignored? Do you want to vote for Donald Trump, who's not going to do nothing for you, but he's not going to harm you? He's going to let everybody suffer. Or do you want to vote for Joe Biden, who's going to help everybody else but you and specifically allow you to suffer? That's your vote this year. Now, I said before, during the primaries, during the midterms, that black folks need to just stay home. I told you, I said black folks are known for not voting in the midterms anyway. And if you know how to ride a wave, you could make that seem like you're going to have to work to earn the black vote. Now, that didn't go the way I had pictured it, because the Republicans fumbled that bag so much with that abortion ruling and with a lot of their weird moves that it didn't really move the board too much. There was no real red wave. But the national election is much different. Had we had done what I set out for us to do and really make a big dent in the voter turnout for the black vote, not even make a big dent. If we would have just simply, as black media, been loud enough on our displeasure with the Democratic Party, we could have taken that normal non-turnout toll and made it seem like a crisis. But we didn't really do that. But the Democratic Party is already in crisis mode. RFK Jr. and Cornel West present an existential threat and a clear and present danger. And I want black people to realize that the threat of us either diverting our vote or not turning out is going to scare the Democrats into shape a little bit come this election season. And if our politics still got a little bit of smarts in us, we're going to leverage the living hell out of that. Now, as far as symbolic politics goes, you are losing on almost every front. So much so, and the purest of which would be the language itself. What do you mean, man? I'll give you a perfect example. What is a white supremacist nowadays? I told you the left drowned out all that language and drowned out all that conversation, spamming that woke button and hijacking that word to the point to where people on the right have been very successful making the argument that all this racist shit is made up. So now whenever you point out something that's very, very detrimental and overtly racist, the Democratic side has cried wolf so much, nobody wants to hear what you're talking about. It's becoming obvious that black people have been used as a Trojan horse for the Democratic Party. And now they've found what they believe to be even greater returns using the gay community. Just one problem. Gay people on non-gay issues just become white folks. They either vote left or right, depending on what suits them best. Only Negroes vote for the country. Or at least that was the case up until now. What's going to happen this election cycle, because this election cycle is going to be much different than any other American election cycle you've ever seen. The Democratic Party is getting very desperate. The establishment party, I should say, left and right, is getting very desperate. And when governments get desperate, they take off the masquerade. They don't really got a lot of time to play. You're going to notice the Democratic Party is telling you that democracy is on the line. And in order to save democracy from Donald Trump, We got to basically suspend democracy. We can't have too much free speech because it can make the president look bad. We got to save democracy. We can't have due process and actual justice. We got to throw people in jail for saying too much or doing the wrong things about the wrong people because we can't have the president looking bad. You whistleblowing on the Bidens, your ass end up in jail. You're a woman and you say Joe Biden harassed you, your ass gets silenced by women. We got to preserve democracy, which is why all the media companies came together to make sure nothing would make Joe Biden look bad in this election, and that we weren't going to make sure that the other guy running for office would even have a platform to talk. We got to preserve democracy. Oops, did it come out that the primaries were all basically fake at our party and we don't really even have to even respect who you want to vote for? We got to preserve democracy. See, people, before we even get to black people specifically, people in America in general aren't buying this shit. Because like I told you before, people will go along with empire as long as the trains run on time. They don't really care what group of people are suffering or what's really happening or how they get these products. We should know, because nobody gave a damn how many whips were going on our back as long as they got to enjoy the touch, the feel of cotton, right? People travel from all around the world coming here knowing exactly what was happening to niggas at the time, was stepping right over nigger bodies and pushing right by niggas swinging in trees so that they could have an opportunity of the streets being paved with gold, right? Knowing who the hell paved them. So, like, clear your mind of any idea of people making moves because it's the right thing to do or there's no, people don't, especially people in America, do not care. But people in America are starting to realize this empire, this shit ain't working. It ain't working for me. And when people don't believe in the empire no more, they stop buying into it. That can cause a whole lot of problems. Look around the world. You can't make that argument. Capitalism versus communism versus socialism. There's countries that got all different kinds of isms that are falling the hell apart in Europe right now. They don't even show France on the news no more. Go back and look at, I think it's episode 37. I told y'all months ago. I said, when's the last time y'all seen us? I said, white folks, white society normally loves to show white supremacy abroad. They love to show you South Africa. They love to show you Australia. They love to show you the UK, and they love to show you France. I told you guys months ago, I said, anybody seen Australia? Y'all heard from France? I told y'all that months ago. I said, man, it's so bad in France. They didn't fumble the bag on them 13 African countries. And they over there, the fire department's fighting the police department. The damn medics are rioting. They got a big issue with immigrants over there. Same in Italy. All these European countries are falling the hell apart. All these Western countries are falling the hell apart because the money's going bad. Ukraine and Russia fighting. Look like Africa. When the money start to dry up, all that white folks or civil shit go right out the window. And it's no different in America. This is the real reason why you got more mass shootings. No one ever talks about that. You got the same amount of, they're always talking about there's more guns in America than people. That didn't happen in the last 10 years. America been about that gun life. How you think they got so many guns per person? That's a cumulative. I'm old enough to remember when mass shootings used to be called going postal. Because the only people that really did them was postal workers. That was around the news has a way of telling you a piece of the story with no context. They made it seem like postal workers are just crazy. Those lonely postal workers. No, niggas was getting forced into retirement and was going off. But mass shootings used to be something that happened to people at work. Somebody got forced off the job, forced out of something. Hey, didn't Lenny get let go last week yet? Why is he walking in here and why has he got a bag? Oh my God. What point am I making? There was a reason behind it. The person doing the shooting knew who or what they were shooting at, and the reason for shooting was apparent. They were shooting at that system. And of course, they're going to take around. They're going to go out and take out a couple people they didn't like at the job anyway. Then going postal for mass shooting became Columbining. Them kids are the trench coat mafia. There was a lot of trench coat mafia references. Now, these were kids that were social outcasts at high school that didn't feel good about their outcome in life, that were getting picked on, that grabbed daddy's AR-15 and got to gapping on people. Again, you know who and you know why you're doing this. And the person you're doing it to knows, oh, shit. Hell, the Columbine kids even let some people go. Hey, man, hey, Chet, you were always cool, bro. You can go. This is why you always be nice to the white boy at school with the camouflage hat. But now mass shootings are more random than ever. They're more random than ever. Seemingly so. And they stop putting out, they'll put out all the details. Oh, they got the gun legally. We got to do something about gun control. But they will never tell you what that person's manifesto was. And you start looking at these manifestos and they're all usually the same thing. Money. You're forcing us out. You're replacing us. You're XYZ, which is all true. But instead of dealing with that, the messed up economy, instead of dealing with that stuff, they're like, we gotta stop having all these guns out here in the street. Like white folks wasn't blowing people up with goddamn moving trucks in the 90s. Not a single gun involved. Like white folks wasn't mailing people anthrax and shit and mailing people pipe bombs. Not going to stop a goddamn thing as far as the murder count. What would be really bad for the country, and this is why the black vote is so powerful, because if the black vote goes down considerably, you are going to have either one of two outcomes. Either the black vote don't show up and Donald Trump wins and the Democratic Party and America on the left at large realizes you got to respect the black vote, or, and this is what you really don't want, is for black folks to not show up in a noticeable degree and somehow Joe Biden still wins. We all saw what white folks on the right was willing to do the last time they lost an election, and they don't think that the count added up quite right. Not only do we need to not vote or vote third party. Remember, our goal is not to win anything. There's not anybody even riding on a black platform. So there's nothing in this election for black people at all on either side. The only thing left is some get back. The only thing left, sometimes in football, sometimes in sports, you're not going to make the playoffs. You've been mathematically eliminated. And the only thing you got left is to do what? Play spoiler. We're not going to make the playoffs this year, boys, but we can make sure our hometown rivals over there don't make the playoffs neither. This is our playoffs. This is a play out season now. Beat them so that they can't get in the playoffs. There's not a single thing on the ticket even being dangled over black folks' heads as a carrot for black folks. I don't want to hear that trickle down or that disproportionately affects bullshit. A nigga bill. A stop nigga hate bill. Any kind of incentive. They've been jerking us around with a bill just to study reparations. That's what I'm talking about how even your symbolism is disrespected. They didn't even give you a bill to even study the shit. It's not like they would even had to commit to anything. They didn't even give you a bill. Shit. That's like somebody owing you money and talking about they're going to think about tallying it up to figure out how much they owe you. They're not even contemplating the possibility of actually paying you the money. They're just telling you, hey, I'm going to get around to figuring out how much I owe you eventually one day. It's literally that. And they still like, shit, I'm going to holler. Like, it is what it is. No. Staying out of this is the easiest thing in the world. Easiest thing in the world. There's literally nothing in it for you but to play spoiler, but to sit back and divert your numbers strong enough to knock this nigga off the mountain. And if Donald Trump wins it, oh well. Next time a white person tries to shame you into, well, you're giving a vote to Donald Trump. No. You having a sucky candidate that didn't do shit for me as a black person gave my vote to Donald Trump. You did that. You did that. You put me in a position to have to, you did some sucker shit and put me in a position to have to play you like this. Like I'm going to just sit here and eat the damn burden, eat the damn pain. I'm over here voting so that you can have a better life. Nigga, get out of here. Get out of here. We're going to go ahead and let them. See, we can do some real mean stuff right now. We're going to do some real mean stuff to the Democratic Party. We're going to make them keep Kamala Harris. You break, you buy. You wanted her so damn bad, you better stick with her. We're going to make you keep Kamala Harris. They want to remove Kamala Harris so bad, but they don't know if that'll irritate black folks. We need to intimate that would irritate black folks. Yeah, we don't like her, but we don't like being used as goddamn symbols either. You keep her on that ticket. If you want to move somebody off the ticket, you move Joe Biden's unhealthy ass off the ticket. The nerve. The nerve. I can see if you're like, yeah, this ticket's not that strong. Joe Biden's one heartbeat away. Low key, we do not want Kamala to get that spot. So we're going to go ahead and pull Joe Biden off the ticket. Make Kamala the president and put somebody, that knows what they're doing back there as vice president to back her up. Now you've got a TV episode of Scandal in real life. The black woman will love it. But black women should be offended. Well, black women don't really see that woman as black, but, black women should definitely be offended, as I am, that they pushed her up there to represent us as a trophy, to represent us as a token. But now that it's time to really do presidential shit, they're like, oh, hold on. Now you better rock all the way out with Kamala since you wanted her up there so bad. You got the political capital up there from it. Now you're going to sit there and cash it in. And as far as these other, I won't even call them rights because they just came and swooped and took them away. But as far as these other tangibles, if you want to even call them that, such as affirmative action, I want you to pay close attention to the fact that they didn't say we are ending affirmative action. They said we are ending race as a determining factor for admission into college. That says several things. It says, number one, we're still going to let affirmative action be in the military. You can, yes, we can your ass over here all you want. We want you. That's number one. And number two, white women, white gays, immigrants, you guys can still come on down and try to wiggle your way in through these programs. We don't pay attention to how they whip us around with language. Like I said, we've lost the argument or are losing the argument on what is white supremacy even. All but the most overt, over the top, extreme examples of white supremacy are seen as us race baiting. I look on YouTube all the time. I see all kinds of crazy narratives being pushed now. I'm seeing a lot of white professors in college pushing this persecuted white man syndrome bullshit. Oh, well, white people are the people discriminated against. All we want to do is work and be good and spread Christianity through the land. And you guys just don't want to work and you guys just keep protesting us for bullshit. No. We've lost these arguments because we don't have the best and brightest people of our group fighting these fights. A lot of these fake woke people with these septum rings and their rainbow bracelets and shit, they've been playing the symbolism game all this time. Walking around wearing our name, wearing our justice claim, not taking this shit seriously. And you're sitting in the room with professional sharks, professional liars. And they're eating our lunch. And a lot of these clown ass niggas that we got in charge of us were put in place by them. Which is another reason why we need to not participate this year. Keep in mind, I still want black folks to register to vote. I want them to see us and see that we're right here. We could come in and help you. But we're going to sit here and watch you get your ass whooped, and we're not going to do anything. The Democratic Party no longer gets to claim the mantle of lesser of two evils, which in and of itself is like a weak ass claim. Who wants to be weak and evil? Am I saying to go out and vote for Cornel West? Not necessarily, because the message then would be that black folks are so dumb we just voted for anything black. But if it helps take points off the board for Joe Biden, I'm all for it. Even if you vote for Trump, I'm all for it. Even if you just leave the top of the ticket blank, I'm all for it. Even if you decide not to turn your ballot in, I'm all for it. All I ask is that you register to vote so that you get a mail-in ballot, and whatever you do from there, as long as you don't vote for Joe Biden, I'm cool with. This is the shit your ancestors was fighting for, was the fight for their vote to have power, not just for the right to exercise voting. That's some clown shit. That's mad disrespectful to our ancestors too. And speaking of non-involvement and divesting, because we're divesting from the Democratic Party. Speaking of divesting, we need to start going down this checklist of the ops. I started noticing as soon as that affirmative action shit hit, there was a lot of Asians doing some explaining. There was a lot of Asians trying to explain themselves on why their coon-ass cousins was up there at the damn forefront fighting against affirmative action. Why you Asians can't just mind your goddamn business when you come here to this country. But since we want to start talking about race-related and merit-based type of shit, black folks need to get that Stop Asian Hate bill challenged. There's some very, very funny language in that shit that's very discriminatory towards non-Asians. And on the grounds of this, we should have that challenged. A lot of that shit was targeted at black people. Nobody ever really read that Stop Asian Hate bill. No one ever read how they were stopping the Asian hate. It was really just a bill to get Asians money for their businesses that were being that weren't being patronized during COVID. The argument in the Stop Asian Hate bill is, by you not supporting our businesses during COVID, that act was discriminatory because Donald Trump made it feel like Asians were the cause of the coronavirus, which they were. It did leak in China, right? Let's be honest. So we need money for our businesses as compensation because nobody patronizes our businesses. And let's be honest, we all know who the number one customer is for an Asian business. It's going to be niggas. A lot of your tax money got diverted to that shit that they didn't need and didn't deserve. See, a lot of Asians, shit backfired on them. Monday, the affirmative action got repealed. By Monday night, them same Asians was crying about how these white folks is firing them and not letting them become managers at these tech companies. Don't say shit. Cry me a river. See, when black people become more politically astute, we'll be able to go after enemies like that. Go after them on bills. But we're not coordinated yet. But right now, we don't need to be too coordinated on anything complicated. The first move is not to move. No primaries, no problem. You got a Green Party candidate that's sitting out there as a threat to the Democratic Party. Watch. See, this is interesting. A lot of you guys don't see how bad this is, what I'm talking about if black folks decide not to participate in this illusion, how real it's about to get. There was a Democratic congressman trying to pass a bill that would punish people, that would punish black folks for not voting. That's how bad the Democratic Party needs that black turnout as cover up. If black folks came out, like, it's perfectly legal for me to tell you what I'm telling you right now and say don't vote. But if black folks started listening to me right now and it looked like it was a possibility that I was influencing or somebody was influencing black people not to vote, don't you know that they would target that nigga? They'd find some kind of trumped up charge to slap on him and throw his ass in jail. You'd get a visit from the FBI, and you don't got to be some big time influencer. Go look at the case that just came out where the Supreme Court told Joe Biden that you can't communicate with social media platforms. They were going after people with 200 followers. Oh man, yeah, they don't got that many followers, but that joke was getting a lot of reach. So you don't got to have a lot of followers to have a lot of influence. You could have 300 followers and one of your followers got 1 million followers. That one follower out of that little 300 that you got retweets something you said or repost something you said or comments on something you said or likes something you said. Now 1 million people saw your little 300 people post. That's very dangerous. It's very dangerous. So they're looking at it from the big picture of they look at us human beings and communication like a contagion that spreads, that they got to contain before it gets out to the public. It's very serious business. People get killed over shit like that. So watch what happens when black people start on a larger and larger and larger amount showing displeasure and indifference towards the Democratic Party and whether or not they're going to lose or whether or not they can fight Donald Trump. When niggas stop caring, you'll see DMC real scared. Signing out.